So here's a video on your spread on your trailer. On state roads, there's a lot of states don't specify what you need to do as far as your rear tandems. But as a general rule of thumb, the 41-foot mark has to be in the middle or behind. In California, the 40-foot mark, which is about here, has to be on your rear axle or behind. In Illinois, 42.5 feet has to be at your rear axle or behind. In Maine, 43 has to be at your rear axle. 43, which is close to the 41 being at the 41 in Maine would have to be about here. In Minnesota, 43 has to be at your center axle, center tandems. And in Vermont and Wisconsin, your 41 has to be at your rear axle. Those are state highways. On the interstate, again, there's lots of states that have no rules. I'll show you this piece of paper when I'm done. Again, in California, the 40-foot mark out here has to be at your rear tandem or your rear axle or behind. That's really hard to do with heavy loads, but most of California is produce, so they're light, so you can do that. '41 has to be in the middle in DC, Florida, Maryland, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Tennessee, and Virginia. 43 at the rear axle in Maine and Minnesota. In Michigan and South Carolina, you need 40.6 at your rear axle, give or take 6 inches. So basically the 41 has to be here, give or take 6 inches. In New York and Wisconsin, 43 has to be at your rear axle, which is pretty close to 41 being in the middle. And in West Virginia, they measure from both state and interstate. Between your rear tandem and your front tandem, you can't have more than 37 feet, which I'm guessing Kingpin's about a foot in front. That would make 41 to 40. 1, 2, 3. So if you have the same spread as I do, your wheels would have to go back a little bit. then the other thing is your axles. You could slide these axles forward. Like in California, the 40 would be at your rear axle. But there's also a law that you can't have more than 35% overhang. And that means that you can't drive your tandems forward all that far. As a general rule, I don't let the 41 foot mark go past my mud flaps. So the 41 would be about here. And that way you don't have excess overhang. I think the actual number is 37 feet in between your tandems. If you have 37 feet, then you're good for the overhang law. But I guess you can pause this if you want to look at the laws that I've written down. But there's the provincial. When there's no kingpin laws given, I go 41 feet from the kingpin to the center of the rear tandem. And all those states are no rules listed. California, 40 from kingpin to center rear axle, 41 from kingpin to center rear tandem, which is in between the axles and the center, is DC, Maryland, Michigan. Tennessee, VA, 42.5 feet from kingpin to center rear axle is Illinois. 43 from kingpin to center rear axle is Maine, which is essentially 41 feet to the rear tandem. 43 from kingpin to center rear tandem is Minnesota, and 41 from kingpin to center rear axle, Vermont and Wisconsin. That's on state roads. On the interstate, all those states have no rules. But like I said, I go by the 41 foot rule. California, it's 40 feet from kingpin to center rear most axle. 41 feet to the rear tandem from the kingpin is DC, Florida, Maryland, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Tennessee, and Virginia. 43 from kingpin to center rear tandem is Maine and Minnesota. They let you have your axles a little further back, but you got to remember you got to follow the bridge laws too. That's a whole different story. 40.6 from kingpin to center rearmost axle, plus or minus 6 inches, is Michigan and South Carolina. And 43 from kingpin to center rear axle, which is basically 41, is Wisconsin and New York. And then rear axle on tractor to front trailer axle, 37 feet, is West Virginia on both interstate and provincial highways. So 37 from the rear tractor axle to the front. That's a weird one. And when you're talking about the kingpin, it's basically right in the middle there. So you got about 2 feet from your kingpin to the front of the trailer on most trailers. Some are only a foot back from the front of the trailer, but most nowadays are 2 feet. So I hope that helped. I know it's not the greatest video. I just wanted to get this information out. It was rushed, it's raining, it's miserable, and my writing's not that great, but that should give you the basics. And again, disclaimer, I looked in a book to get all this, and books are sometimes wrong, so it's important to check for yourself and get your proper information. California, Vermont, South Carolina, and Michigan, I think, are the states that have, and West Virginia, have some weird laws. All the other states, you can pretty much go by 41 in the middle of your tandems or towards the rear without bringing that 41 past your mud flaps to break the overhang law. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. Any other trucking related videos you'd like me to do, let me know in the comments. I will do them.